What is up, my fellow Chibits? As always, I'm here to bring all of you the weekly Tokyo Ghoul review. So, before I begin, as always, I just want to say I'm very thankful for all of you guys really liking the newest format I've been using for these reviews. And so, thanks to all the feedback I've been getting, I decided to continue on with it once again this week. And so, yeah. Anyways, to begin, I want to start off with talking about Yomo versus Mutsuki and Aura's fight. So, the chapter opens off, continuing where, Yomo is fighting Mutsuki, and Mutsuki surprised attacked him with, the daggers being thrown at him, and you can see at first glance it looks like things are just not going well at all for Yomo in this fight. I mean, as the fight carries on, you can clearly see that Yomo is reaching his limit. He is definitely no longer being able to fight at the highest maximum potential he normally has, for instance, when the fight first began, because of all the damage he has received. After all of these blows, and after knowing for a fact that all the ghouls down here in, Organization Goat has not been eating properly, it's very obvious that Yomo is reaching the end of the fight. Regardless if he's going to win or lose, there's just no way he can continue to fight, because someone like Mutsuki, there's no way he can continue to fight Mutsuki or Aura when they obviously have been eating properly compared to someone like Yomo. So, in a sense, Yomo is backed into a corner, and he doesn't really have many options available to him, and the only reason why, he's able to stand this far is thanks to all of his experience throughout the years, while he fought Uta, while he fought, Artima, just all of his experience that he's accumulated over many, many years that he's been alive. It's all thanks to that as to why he's able to survive this far in the fight. So anyways, as the fight carries on, it comes increasingly more obvious that Mutsuki is just winning in this fight. She is slowly just getting closer and closer to this man as he wears out, because his type of ghoul, obviously, he, has stamina problems, and since he's using his Kagune quite a bit in this fight, he is running out of stamina. I mean, he's good to hand-to-hand combat, he's able to fight if someone gets close to him, but overall, he is running out of stamina, and so if this continues, that means that he will fall, he will lose, and Mutsuki and Aura can close that gap and get rid of him completely. So as he's sitting there, basically gasping for breath and all that, realizing all the damage, Mutsuki decides to continue to attack and not let this man even have a breath of fresh air. And thankfully, even though Yomo is very damaged, he is actually able to dodge the attack from Mutsuki. You see him flip backwards and all that on the pipe. Mutsuki attacks the pipe, as you can see, and slices it completely open. But Yomo is still able to dodge, even though, despite all of that, he is really injured. You can see how his coat, there's blood on it, and how the man, he's reacting kind of fast, but still a lot slower than he was when the fight first began. So, as we know, this isn't a 1v1 type fight. As we know, Mutsuki and Yomo, they were fighting, but also Aura's there as well, and so when Yomo drops his guard, Aura can close the gap and get very close to him and then take him out. So he's always having to worry about both, sides of combat, close range combat and far range combat, because Mutsuki has a lot of range on him, while you have, Aura, he can close the gap, get very close and all that, and fight with his Kagune. So Yomo is at a severe disadvantage, and it's not just the fact that he's running low on stamina, just fighting two people is going to take a toll on you, especially if you're malnourished and you haven't been eating properly at all as a ghoul. So, anyways, as the surprise attack comes in, it looks like Yomo could possibly actually kick the bucket here. He falls down, you see the pipes all breaking and all that, and he even states while he's falling what's really wrong with him. His tendons and his abdomen is severely damaged, and the reason why it's damaged is thanks to the beginning of the chapter. Basically, you have it to where Yomo, when those daggers went into him, that actually hit all of his major vital points on his body, to where, he can't move his hands properly, his arms properly, he can't move his legs or body properly, thanks to where Mutsuki stabbed him, which would make a lot of sense that Mutsuki would have such precision because of the type of character she is and what she has been doing behind the scenes. As we know, she was someone that was, doing awful and horrible things to animals, so it's obvious that she would know kind of where vitals are on people as well, since she was doing that to people, and we saw this a while ago with, the Kaneki clone. Perfect example. Or let's look at Torso. So when you look at all these things, it's obvious that Mutsuki would be very accurate and know where she needs to cut, and that's what's happening to Yomo right now. He is now not being able to regenerate as fast as he would like, thanks to all of the damage he has taken. But despite all this, even though it looks like his back is in the corner, he manages to roll out of the way when a Kagune comes down, which you can consider is Mutsuki. And as he's dodging back and forth, weaving from the Kagune, a dagger comes in and once again close the gap. And I've noticed this is a very distinct fighting style when it comes to Mutsuki. Anytime that Mutsuki cannot get close to someone, Mutsuki always loves to throw a dagger into someone and try to get closer because of it, because they're distracted on the daggers, and then she can get in real close while they're trying to get rid of the dagger outside their body. There's obviously like a trend in her fighting style. She loves to use the blades to be able to get really close up on an opponent. He finally hits the ground. Now, when you're reading this part of the chapter, everybody's probably thinking, like, is Yomo actually going to die to Mutsuki? And in all honesty, that's what many of us would think. I was thinking that when I read this part of the chapter. I'm like, no way. Please tell me that Mutsuki is not going to do this to my boy Yomo. Yomo has just so much to his character, but I mean, when you think about everything he has accomplished, this would be the time for Ashita probably to write him out of the series, but still, just it would be very sad if we lost him here. So as Mutsuki's closing closer and closer to him, about to put him down and all that, basically Mutsuki's like compliments him. Oh wow, pretty impressive how he was able to dodge all of those, attacks and stuff with my Kagune, with, just his intuition, even though he was that damaged. So Mutsuki was complimenting him. Mutsuki is getting in closer to finish him off. Now, if you notice really closely, when Mutsuki is walking, you actually can see water underneath her. Now, this is a big part to play later on in this chapter, as we know, because Mutsuki gets electrocuted. And that is really interesting. It just shows how unique Yomo's Kagune is and how smart he is as well. So what this explains is that when he fell down, like with the thud sound, he just fell down and hit the ground, he was probably really injured, but the reason why he really hit the ground was actually just to lead Mutsuki in to get closer, since that's her fighting style, since she loves to get in close and deal with her opponents on a personal basis, like just up there, right next to him, and then do whatever she wants with her dagger. So it explains why, he was counting on this, because Mutsuki is a type of fighter that doesn't like to finish someone off from a distance, and so he knew for a fact Mutsuki would get in closer and then drop her guard if, she thinks that he can barely move, and then that was where he was going to strike. So the only reason why Yomo was actually able to set this up was thanks to Mutsuki's fighting style and her flaw in her fighting style, which means where she wants to get up close and personal and finish someone. The Kagune that Yomo uses here, his Kagune where he produces lightning, it is a very unique Kagune, and it's definitely something that just shows how powerful, Kagunes can be in the universe of Tokyo Ghoul, because, I mean, for a Kagune to turn into lightning, it just expands upon so many possible, limits of the TG universe just because of this one fact alone. Imagination is key. Imagination is what drives, the Kagune to take shape in many different forms, and that's what we see here. His Kagune is lightning, and now it's going at Mutsuki. So, let's, talk about this for a second. So, Mutsuki is getting electrocuted. Now, in normal circumstances, sometimes you could take a little zap, okay? People can take a little zap every so often from electricity, but we gotta factor in what type of electric is coming out of Yomo, but also where Mutsuki is at. So, normally, let's say you were to accidentally, let's say there was an extension cord that was a little bit cut and all that, and you put your hand on it, and it shocked you a bit. It hurt, but it shocked you. Normally, that's not something major where you need to worry like your life is on the line, but it can do, put your life on the line if you hold it for too long. But the big point is that that's, considered a little shock. While what's going on with Mutsuki, she is in the middle of water, and as we all know, we know how electricity is. It flows through water, and it conducts and all that, and if you step into, a water while it's electrocuted, or, has electricity coursing through it, it's going to electrocute you. And that's what happens to Mutsuki. Thanks to Yomo's Kagune, he's able to use the water to electrocute Mutsuki completely. Now, we don't necessarily know how powerful this electricity is, because we don't really know the wattage or whatever that's coming through Mutsuki. We don't really know. But if there is one thing we do know, however, is when it comes to electricity in water, a big body of water and all that, you step in it, it can really, really do massive damage to you, even be fatal. And since this is, in the middle of a lot of water, Mutsuki stepping into it, and there's a lot of, electricity coming out of Yomo into Mutsuki, you could assume this could be the equivalent of, let's say, a microwave or in a body of water, and you put your hand in it, shocking you. That could be what the equivalent of this is. So, this is probably very fatal. Now, we don't know exactly how ghouls fare against electricity. We never really actually have seen this discussed before, and I don't think Ishida's really ever dived into it completely. But if you know about electricity, since it courses through the body, and Mutsuki isn't 100% ghoul, there's a likely possibility Mutsuki could be done. Like, this could be the end of Mutsuki in this moment with being electrocuted. And so, with all of that, this could be the end of her character. Now, personally, I don't believe that Mutsuki is actually gone for good because of this event. I just do not believe it. I just highly doubt, after everything that Ishida has done with the character Mutsuki, that this right here, this one scene will determine Mutsuki's fate. I believe that Mutsuki is probably going to be damaged beyond repair, probably out of this fight for the remainder of this arc, but overall, I don't think Mutsuki is completely gone, but did take a big, heavy hit from Yomo. So, it's incredibly deadly. Most likely it fried Mutsuki's brain, probably fried just everything in the body, probably stopped the heart as well, and it makes you wonder how Mutsuki's going to be able to survive this. The only saving grace that Mutsuki has probably to get out of this and survive it is thanks to probably gorging herself on a bunch of ghouls and people, and how she was able to probably build up a lot of RC cells, and that's why she might be able to regenerate from this. But besides that, it looks like Mutsuki might be down for the count. I don't think she's dead, but she's probably down for the count. So with that being said, we move over into Aura. So Aura, he sees Mutsuki hit the ground and all that, and he's really upset because someone he was looking up to finally got defeated. And I think everybody knows how I feel about Aura. I do not like Aura whatsoever, but overall, he goes charging in for Yomo, and here's the thing we gotta remember. Yomo may be weakened, but he just took out one major problem in this fight. It's now a 1v1. It's no longer a 1v2. And so now he just needs to focus on, Aura, and that's all. He doesn't need to worry about anyone coming up behind him and, hitting him with a Kagune. He just needs to worry about one person. And so this automatically is in Yomo's hands now. It's his advantage because he no longer needs to worry about two people. And so obviously with his experience and how long he's been fighting as a ghoul for so many years, and how he just, showcased that he's very strong with his Kagune and all that, one person's not going to really be able to stand up to him, especially someone like Aura that's not as skilled as Yomo is. So he makes short work of him, grabs him, and, you know the rest. And so, overall, I am really, really glad that Aura's probably gone. I don't know if he's probably permanently dead, but we do know that he is not, like, 100% ghoul. And if he hasn't been eating as much as, like, Mutsuki, then he probably won't regenerate from this. He probably won't regenerate from the damage that Yomo just did to him in this chapter, and this could be the end of Aura. Now, this also makes me question what will happen with Aura's aunt, though. Like, what will she feel about, her, like, nephew or whatever, Aura, just getting killed like this? It makes you wonder what she will think and what she'll do. I mean, Kaneki spared, Aura's, aunt. And so it makes you wonder, what will she feel now that one of Kaneki's, members was to do something like this to her family member? It makes you wonder what type of, like, drama this will cause in the future chapters if Aura really is gone. Regardless, though, I'm glad to see him gone. I didn't really like his character. I mean, I don't think he was a bad character. I just didn't like his character because how annoying he was and how cocky he got, because thinking he was, all of that and he could fight strong people or even fight Kaneki. I felt like he just was too cocky for his own britches, and so seeing this, it pleases me greatly. So with that being said, we move over into Toka and Hinami. And we continue off with the scene where, Suzuya, his S3 squad has arrived to deal with the ghouls, and no ghoul can pass E14. Now, to just start off, I want to mention that this panel with Hinami, with her Kagune, her Chimera Kagune, it's so beautiful. It is so beautiful. If there's one thing I really love about Hinami, it's just her Kagune design. I don't know why, but I just love her Kagune design. It looks so beautiful, and I mean, just the way Ishida first introduced this, I remember a long time ago, it was just a unique trait about Hinami, and you don't really see a lot of Chimera-type ghouls, you don't. And I think the last Chimera-type ghoul we saw was Nutcracker. Now, don't quote me on that, I could be wrong, but I believe Nutcracker was the last one we saw with a Chimera-type Kagune. But Hinami has been with us for a very long time in this series, and she's always been this character that's very important. She was what initiated so much for Kaneki's growth as a person, because, when Hinami was first introduced, and she lost her father, and then lost her mother, Kaneki realized that he wishes he could have done a lot more for Hinami. He wishes he could have protected her. He wishes that he could have, saved her and all of that. And he could have saved her mother and then saved her from all this grief and pain that she went through. And throughout the course of, Tokyo Ghoul Part 1, we do know that Hinami, she always had this guilt within her. She realized that she wasn't as strong. She wasn't someone that can match up or do the crazy things that Kaneki could or others could. And she felt like she was useless. And so as time continued to tick on, she realized that she could no longer just be a bystander or just watch. She needed to take matters into her own hands, and that's where Part 2 Tokyo Ghoul Re comes into. Hinami has joined Ogiri Tree. She joined Eto and all of that thanks to Eto and Hinami's connection. She joined and she learned how to defend herself, protect herself, and to protect the ones that she cares and loves. And so we see a massive shift in her character since the beginning when she was first introduced. She is now able to defend herself and not have others defend her, and she also will get things done regardless of the cost. If she needs to get rid of fodder, she is willing to do that. So Hinami has shown that she has definitely matured and grown over all of these years and all of these chapters. She has changed so much. As the fodder's getting wiped out, you just see them getting obliterated like it's nothing. This automatically makes you think in your head, like, this is actually not good. Even though it's fodder, we gotta remember that these are a part of S3. That means Suzuya's squad. And we know for a fact that Suzuya will probably not like any of his squad members that are looking up to him getting just destroyed by Hinami. So he's probably, this was like the point of no return for Hinami. Like, even if Suzuya was there to try to make peace and maybe turn on Furuta, this is probably like the no return for Hinami, because she just took a lot of lives, and now Suzuya is going to have to step in to stop this. And so that's the sad part about this. As we see Hinami's growth and what she's doing, this actual character development and growth has actually caused it to where she is going to become a massive target. And even Toka as well, she takes care of a couple of fodder and actually helps out Hinami when someone's coming up on her back. So we see our two main female characters, like our two first female characters introduced in the series, besides Rize, working together, fighting together, defending each other, and honestly, it's incredibly shocking. Who would have imagined that Hinami and Toka would be fighting together in Tokyo Ghoul Re, backing each other up, and, making up for each other's weaknesses? It just is something very impressive. I really love this image where Toka and Hinami are just standing side by side. Even though the odds are against them, they're just standing together, and they're fighting to protect each other, and fighting to protect the ones they love. Furuta basically is like, good work, but it's useless, because you people are bait. Now, this is a question I brought up, and many times. What is Dragon? Who is Dragon? What is Furuta really trying to achieve? As we know from the previous chapter, regardless of what happens on the surface, regardless of what happens after this fight with Suzuya, as long as what goes down here succeeds, Furuta wins. So, what I feel like is going on here, since he's using Toka and Hinami as bait, I believe what he's trying to do is bait out Kaneki or whoever Dragon is. And we don't know exactly who Dragon is, but he's definitely trying to bait out Dragon, and that is what Hinami and Toka are being used for. Now, the only characters I could see that have a direct connection to Toka and would be very upset and would be drawn to protecting them would be obviously Kaneki or Ayato. But I highly doubt Ayato is the Dragon, so I have no idea. I mean, unless someone like Underground, the One-Eyed King, is connected to Hinami and Toka, that's the only one I can consider that would be Dragon. So regardless of all that, we don't really know what Furuta is really trying to do here, but he is using Toka and Hinami as bait, and everything is going according to plan. So Suzuya, he initiates, he goes into the fight and all that, and he tries to deal with the main problem, which is Hinami, because she has a really deadly Kagune, and it needs to be dealt with quickly as possible. Now, just to quickly state, I really love both of these characters. I love Hinami, I love Suzuya, I love them both for many different reasons, and this is what makes Tokyo Ghoul such a compelling series to read, because when Ishida does stuff like this, when he has two characters going up against each other, you're just questioning yourself, like, how is she going to get out of this? Is she going to be okay? Or is these characters going to be okay? Are they going to be able to survive? Or one of them going to, get killed off? It makes you question, like, what will happen next? And this is what we get many times in Tokyo Ghoul, just where two characters we truly care about are going up against each other, and we know for a fact one side is going to win, and one side is going to lose, and it's going to end in a tragedy. So, as Suzuya is closing the gap and all that, we can see once again his skill and how much he's learning. He's showcasing that he's definitely the next Arima. Even Toka, she decides to initiate an attack. She launches a couple of her, Kagune spikes at Suzuya, but Suzuya managed to grab his Quinque and actually reflect everything coming in at him, which is just insanely impressive. It honestly is just so shocking, because we have heard so many stories about Artema, but this is the first time we've seen something this crazy, especially someone being able to just ricochet and reflect every single Kagune shard coming at him. So that just shows this dexterity, the stamina, and how crazy skilled and coordinated Suzuya is to be able to deal with something like this by himself with a scythe at that. So it's just scary. His skill is very scary, and even despite all of this, while, he's defending and guarding, he still sees an opening and he throws daggers into Toka. So this shows that even despite all of that, where it looked like he could barely fight back and all he could do was defend, he was able to counter and attack back in that quick moment, which is just scary. We see another example of someone closing the distance on someone because they're focused on something that just happened to their body. For instance, daggers entering into them, and you see how a sword is going into Toka's left arm. She's trying to block it, and it was too shallow. It wasn't nothing like too serious. It didn't remove her arm completely, but it still was pretty damaging, because as we know, Toka is someone that has been eating a lot of human food, so she's no longer able to regenerate crazy amount of damage like normal ghouls, and so any damage she takes could be there for a very long time, because she can't eat right now, and so she's basically considered a regular human. Even in terms of physical strength, most likely she will get overpowered pretty easily, especially by someone like Suzuya or something, or anyone that's the top officials of, S3 squad. Hinami's still fighting against Suzuya, barely holding him back, but you can see that Suzuya is slowly closing the distance, second by second, getting closer and closer, and Hinami can't really stop it because she is starting to run out of stamina too, because once again, another example, she hasn't been eating properly as well, which goes back to what Kaneki's been doing, what he's trying to do for everyone a part of his family and a part of his organization. So, finally, the moment happens. Suzuya closes the gap. And when the gap is closed, something truly sad happens. Hinami falls. We all knew that Toka's had many, many death flags. It's just been there. And many of us have been concerned for Toka for so long now, just wondering, is she going to be okay thanks to everything? And despite all of this, it seems like our worries for Toka were not what we should have worried about first. It should have been Hinami. I of all characters, I didn't think Hinami was one that was going to probably, bite the dust so quickly, because, I figured she would get damaged, but it wouldn't be like the end of her, because she's just the type of character that's been around for so long. You would think that Ishida would damage her, but she would be fine. But with this blow, the lack of eating and all of that, and just having a big chunk of her, cut, it just, she's probably not going to recover from that at all, and it's a massive blow, and especially after taking damage like that, even if she manages to survive, she's going to get probably hit even more by the other, ghoul investigators, so this might be the end of Hinami, and if this type of stuff is done to Hinami, what's to say that, Ishida Sui doesn't want to do what he just did to Hinami to Toka as well. So, overall, this chapter had an incredibly sad ending, and what Ishida left us on, I just have no words for it. It's sad. It's really sad, but there's not really much more to say, because we don't really know. It's not 100% certain if Hinami is gone or yet, but we just gotta see. Judging by how the fight is going, this could be the end of Hinami. And this just makes you wonder what Kaneki will do, what type of direction his character will take because of what just happened at the end of this chapter. And so with that, I'm going to leave this chapter review there. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for supporting me on Patreon and, leaving a like on this video and a comment. It truly helps me out a lot. And if you want to donate or, support me on Patreon, links are in the description. So you all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.